The situation is quite alarming. The Russian government has recently defaulted on its foreign debt, marking the first time in over a century. This action appears to be intentional, possibly serving as a defiant gesture towards other governments that have imposed sanctions on the Russian economy. Despite this default, the Russian economy continues to generate massive daily revenues, thanks to its abundant energy resources surpassing those of other countries. At present, it seems that Russia possesses the financial means to meet its obligations, but deliberately refuses to do so as a form of retaliation or retribution. The full extent of the negative impact on global financial markets remains uncertain, as there is still a 30-day grace period for Russia to fulfill its payment obligations. However, this situation could potentially have adverse consequences for various financial assets, such as individual retirement accounts, IRAs, 401k plans, or even the stability of the US dollar. There are numerous ways in which this situation could escalate into a highly negative scenario, but we can only hope that it doesn't. I remain optimistic that the Russian government will fulfill its payment obligations, and perhaps this default is simply a means of making a strong statement to the world. However, it is important to highlight that this ongoing situation is significant. Shifting gears to some positive news. Mary Daly, the president of the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco, has made a prediction regarding inflation. Currently, the inflation rate stands at 8.6%, whereas the desired target for the Fed is around 2%. However, Daly foresees a quicker decline in inflation than initially expected. Daly asserts that only half of the inflation is attributable to excessive demand, with the remaining half being a result of COVID-19 and related policies, along with some influence from the Russia-Ukraine conflict. She anticipates that inflation will improve throughout this year, aiming to reach around 2 to 2.5% by the end of 2023. It is worth mentioning that some have interpreted Daly's remarks as implying the necessity of a recession to reduce the remaining demand. However, she clarifies that such an interpretation was not her intention. Nonetheless, this optimistic perspective provides a glimmer of hope amidst the current situation. I truly hope that Mary Daly's prediction turns out to be accurate. I must admit that my trust in Federal Reserve leaders has been waning. Nonetheless, the positive news she shared is something I wanted to share with my community. In recent polling conducted by McLaughlin and Associates, it was revealed that 50% of respondents believe it is likely that Kamala Harris will assume the presidency before President Biden completes his first 4-year term. Essentially, according to half of the country, President Biden may not even make it to 2024. Another 40% expressed skepticism about this likelihood, while 10% stated that they lacked sufficient information to answer the question. When asked about the potential outcome of the 2024 election between Trump and Biden if it were held today, 49% indicated they would vote for Trump, 44% for Biden, and 7% remained undecided. It remains uncertain whether people prefer Trump or Kamala Harris. But what we do know is that they are not in favor of Joe Biden. New polling data from New Hampshire, a state where presidential candidates' success hinges on the primary vote, indicates that a significant majority of voters in the state do not want Joseph Robinette Biden to run for president again. Consequently, his chances of re-election, even as an incumbent, appear to be dwindling. According to the data emerging from New Hampshire, they are asserting that President Biden has no chance of winning. However, it's essential to consider different perspectives on this matter. CNN claims that the Republican Party's survival is impossible, following a Supreme Court ruling in favor of guns and the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Conversely, new data from Breitbart and The Hill indicate a significant increase in the number of people switching to the Republican Party between election cycles. In fact, over 1 million individuals have officially switched to the Republican Party in 43 states. Therefore, it becomes challenging to determine whom to believe, CNN or the data provided by each political party. President Biden recently convened with other G7 leaders, and during their meeting, they announced their intention to impose a ban on the use of Russian gold in their economies. This additional sanction is viewed as a tactic to counter Russian President Putin's actions. Several European members of NATO are now advocating for Ukraine to seek peace with Putin and give up their ongoing resistance. They argue that continuing to assist Ukraine will only weaken the country and its currency. The European nations believe that Ukraine should not accumulate further debt. In response to these developments, when asked about his perspective on the United States potentially losing its democracy, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson dismissed such claims. He stated that it is absolutely overblown and ridiculous, emphasizing that American democracy is robust and thriving. Additionally, on Sunday, President Biden pledged $200 billion of taxpayer money to aid other countries in rebuilding their infrastructure in an environmentally friendly manner. He believes this investment is crucial in outpacing China on the global stage. The allocation of $200 billion more in taxpayer funds to support the infrastructure development of other nations raises concerns, particularly among younger individuals like myself. It seems unprecedented to witness such a significant amount of American taxpayer dollars being directed towards other countries, rather than addressing the needs of our own citizens. Am I the only one finding this situation perplexing? I would appreciate insight from individuals over the age of 40. Is this level of foreign aid customary? And have I simply been unaware of it? Or is this a new trend? I find it difficult to comprehend the rationale behind giving away such a substantial amount of hard-earned money, which is collected through mandatory taxation, to other countries without careful consideration. I am genuinely interested in hearing your thoughts on this matter, so please share your opinions in the comments section. Regarding the $200 billion aid package, President Biden has stated that it is not merely an act of charity, but rather an investment that will yield benefits for both the American people and the recipients. He believes that this initiative will stimulate our economies, foster positive partnerships, and allow communities worldwide to witness the tangible advantages of collaborating with democratic nations. Essentially, he asserts that giving away $200 billion will somehow be beneficial for you, and intends to share his vision for the future through this endeavor. Now, let's delve into the actual vision that emerges from these circumstances. Recent polling data reveals that 75% of Americans